So this has been the moment that I've been waiting for so long. This has been such an amazing build up to the revelation that Rudy finally discovers that Fitz is in fact Sylphiette, and honestly the way that this episode ended is such a cliffhanger, and because there'll be one more episode for this core, just the way that they've specifically ended it right at that pinpoint moment is such a tease, and it honestly made me want to flip the table because it is such a good moment to end at, but it's also frustrating because now we have to wait one more week for the next episode to come out to, of course, get that conclusion to that major arc of the story, and then we go on a 6-month break before core 2 of season 2. And there are a couple of things that I want to talk about, and most of it's to do with the journey from the start to this point when it comes to Rudy discovering who Fitz is, because I see two types of people when it comes to this kind of situation. Those that are frustrated with Rudy that he didn't realize this is Sylphiette, like it's the same hairstyle, not color, but same hairstyle, ears, body, and that cutesy voice, and the fact that Rudy didn't realize that this was Sylphiette. He's so dense, how could he have not realized? Throwing all types of insults at Rudy. And then there are those that are like, oh, Rudy knew all along. Like, he knew all along. It was just subliminally in the back of his mind, even though he only just discovered that Fitz is Sylphiette right at that point in this episode. And then, of course, discovering that Fitz was female in the previous episode. So it is rather interesting seeing those two different perspectives. Those that are frustrated that Rudy didn't realize these things, didn't realize that Fitz was female, didn't realize that Fitz was Sylphiette, but then those that are like, oh, well, Rudy knew all along. Even though Rudy's never monologued previously that he had some suspicion until the last episode when he started building feelings towards Fitz and then was kind of questioning himself going, what's going on? There has to be more to this. And then Rudy then ends up discovering more of the truth once he starts digging deeper. And I've seen that counter argument of people saying, well, that's why Rudy's questioning, because he knew deep down inside something seemed off. But that's the thing throughout the entire light novel and the anime, and I'm talking from light novel, not the web novel, he never monologues about questioning who Fitz is. It's all just kind of like, yeah, he's my bestie, and Rudy's always confiding in Fitz because he kind of sees it as like that bestie that understands him, and Fitz is always understanding the situation, so Rudy's built a lot of trust with him at that point. And then finally this confrontation where Fitz is like, now I have to actually admit who I am, because he's realized that I'm female, and Ariel's now putting her foot down saying, hey, you have to do something or else I'm going to ban you from ever talking to him again. And then I think the best part is, and I remember reading this in the light novel, when she starts fantasizing about all these little things that she wants to do with Rudy, and it's just the way she latches onto the vase. I thought that was just so perfect, and it really captures Sylphiette's way of thinking when it comes to Rudy. She really does want to live that fantasy of being with Rudy, having many children, playing around, doing all the experimentations, that sort of white picket fence, perfect little Romeo Juliet kind of ending for her. I wouldn't say Romeo and Juliet, more like a prince and a princess kind of thing. That's what she's more fantasizing, not Romeo and Juliet, because that's tragic. So it's just that kind of perfect ending that she wants from this conclusion, and her fantasies are quite vivid and quite, they can go pretty crazy. And just her desire to want to be Rudy, she has built a lot of feelings. Now, I'm sure with this episode there's going to be some interesting conversations about their relationship, especially from the early stages of the story, because again, they grew up, they were childhood friends. Sylphiette was someone that was bullied severely. Now, Ariel and Luke don't know about her hair color, so for all they know, she was bullied because of her white hair, not because of her green hair. So Rudy is someone that protected her from being bullied, and then they became friends, and then that's when Rudy taught magic, silent casting, and they've built a friendship that has honestly built a lot of foundations of who Fitz is, or Sylphiette is. And Sylphiette has a lot of respect, admiration, and of course love for Rudy because of what Rudy has given her in that past. She had a friend that she was able to grow with, build on, and also have that other family as well. It's not just her family, but also Rudy's family with Zenith and all that. So she had someone else to also go to when Rudy ended up having to go with Eris to do the training, and then with the Mana disaster, things just kind of went crazy. So there's a large foundation of a relationship there, but I've seen some people trying to claim that Rudy groomed, and I honestly don't agree with that. Again, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but I think that is completely based on just illogical mindset. And honestly, if that is what you think, then by that logic everyone else is doing that in the world, because any form of friendship would then classify as that. So I just feel like that's just kind of silly mindset, because at the end of the day, yes, Rudy has joked about, oh, pretty boy and all that kind of stuff, and bringing in all the girls, but Rudy did care about Sylphiette a lot back then, and that was the whole point of why he wanted to get that extra money, so that he could go to the Magic Academy or the university to learn magic, but also bring Sylphiette along. He wanted that sort of take a friend that he felt strong about, and that friendship has always been there with Rudy. It's always been at the back of his mind. I don't think he ever forgot about Sylphiette at all, even though Sylphiette feared that Rudy had forgotten. I don't believe Rudy ever had, even though he never really talks about it. I think it's always in the back of his mind, but because he's so preoccupied with trying to find Zenith and also dealing with his condition, it's blindsided him to other things going on around him, which is why he just never twigged that Fitz was in fact Sylphiette. He's just so completely oblivious because of the fact that he's just so hyper focused on trying to make friends, trying to fit in, trying to just do the bare basics to, you know, get by each day in this new environment, but also work out where his mother is, and also dealing with the issues that came from Eris and also his ED. So he's just very much tunnel visioned, and tunnel vision is something that people go through. It's not like it's some uncommon thing. We all go through tunnel vision, where we hyper focus on something and we don't see the bigger picture. We don't see all the other things going on around us. So I think it's reasonable that Rudy didn't realize that Fitz was Sylphiette, especially seeing as with a hair color change, it can change everything. I just went out the other day and I was at an event and someone was wearing a wig, and my other friend's like, oh yeah, it's that person from like a couple of years ago. And I'm like, I can't remember people if they change their hair. Like, if they've got a new hair or a wig or something, I instantly don't know who that person is. Like, face and everything, just, you can have the exact same facial structure, I won't know. As soon as you change your hair color or hairstyle, I instantly don't recognize a lot of people, unless there's something else distinct about them. And Sylphiette's distinct feature was, in fact, their green hair. So Rudy would have been looking for green hair if he was looking for Sylphiette, not white hair. And that's why I do understand why Rudy had forgotten, well, hadn't realized that Fitz was Sylphiette, not that he actually had forgotten. But just the way they come together, the whole situation in the cave is just kind of perfect, the way they play it out bit by bit by bit, even though Sylphiette has been a little bit pushy about the whole, well, I'm not going to get undressed, and kind of being a little bit silly. And that's why Rudy's just confused, is like, why aren't you doing this? I can move out of the way, I can get out of the cave, I can build you a room, whatever you need to get undressed to get that clothes off, because it's going to make you sick and possibly die. But that's because Sylphiette really wants to remind Rudy about that situation. That's what Ariel's whole plan is to recreate that exact same situation as authentically as possible to jog Rudy's memory. But in my mind, Rudy always remembered Sylphiette, just didn't realize that was Sylphiette, and that's why when the event played out, it just gave him that jolt, that last jolt that he needed, being like, hey, you're my childhood friend. And I think it's just one of the most beautiful scenes out there, but I'm sure there'll be some interesting conversations about it, and I may do a follow-up video discussing about some of those things. So definitely love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What did you think of this episode? Are you flipping the table just as much as me about the cliffhanger? Because the next episode will be a nice, good conclusion to this story, so, or this arc kind of thing, with them finally discovering the truth of the matter and going from there. So one more episode for this core, and again, love to know your thoughts. But if you like this video, hit the like, subscribe, and I'll see you beautiful nerds in the next video.